Hey everyone, my name is Megan and I'm here at the Nature Show today to explain the concept of trophic downgrading. Trophic downgrading is a branch off the concept of trophic cascading, which essentially is the manipulation of a top consumer and observing the trickle-down effects between that consumer, the prey, and the primary producer. Specifically, trophic downgrading is the complete removal of that top consumer, and then observing the lower levels as well as the ecosystem as a whole. So an example of this is the relationship between herbivory and wildfires. So in Eastern Africa, a disease called rinderpest was broken out and affected the wildebeest and one of Africa's big five populations, the buffalo. So before the disease broke out, the populations roamed, they grazed, and the grasslands looked like this on my left. And the grass was short, it was grazed on, and after the disease broke out, the grass became longer because the populations were no longer grazing on it. When it came to the dry season, wildfires used this long grass almost as kindling, and they spread much wider in this area. Eventually, officials came up with a vaccination program, and the wildebeest and buffalo populations returned to their historic levels, and thus came back to the grasslands on my left. So the wildfires, in turn, reduced in their intensity and frequency. So it's really important to understand all of the interconnections of trophic downgrading. However, sometimes it can be really difficult to understand and study these relationships. There are many reasons for this, including the fact that these top consumers and predators tend to live longer than the prey or their primary producers in that ecosystem. Another reason is because logistically and ethically, sometimes it's not able to manipulate those top consumers, especially if you're talking about trophic downgrading and you're considering removing those animals. And lastly, of an effect called shifting baselines, which essentially is you go into an ecosystem and possibly that top consumer or predator has been manipulating the lower levels of the food chain, but the reference point when that actually started is unclear. So there are many challenges with studying trophic downgrading, but the concept itself is extremely important. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned something today.